Okay, guys, a little bit of a review here. It's not going to be heavily detailed, and I'm going to see if I can do it under 20 minutes. Now, just in case you guys are wondering, dude, are you sure you need to do this? You don't need to do it if you're still feeling awkward. I will tell you this. Yesterday, I was not myself. This Sunday, I'm going to tell you what happened Sunday. Not what the incident happened. That's in the other video. But I slept most of the day. After it happened, I ate the food that I brought from the place I ate, and then I just slept. I slept. I couldn't do anything. I just slept. Yesterday, I just felt awkward and very anxiety-ridden and a little depressed. Now the anxiety's gone down a bit. I still feel a little bit, but not as bad. The depression isn't as apparent, so that's okay. I would not be doing this if it was really bad. Now, mind you, I'm not going to lie here. I'm a stubborn pain in the ass. I'm a stubborn son of a bitch. I don't like to let my anxiety and depression define me. So I always try to fight it and try to find some other outlet, or just to say, you know what, you can do this for 5 minutes. You can do this for 10 minutes. Just in case anyone ever wanted to know one of the ways you can fight depression and anxiety, tell yourself, at least this for me, you could try it yourself if it work. Try for 5 minutes. Even though you're anxious, even though you're depressed, try for 5 minutes. Try for 2 minutes. Try for a minute. That's what I do once in a when it gets really bad. Even if I don't do it, at least I tell myself, try. And in most cases, I do it. Other cases, I don't. It just depends on how bad it is. But there are ways to fight. You don't need always a drug to do it. Not saying that drugs are bad. When you need them, take them. In my case, I haven't gotten that far where I needed a drug. That's the reason why I always put something in my path to try and give me a more positive outlook. Sorry it took so long. But let's make this quick. Was this show good? Yes. A good setting up for No Mercy. Now, I want to say this. When you look at this show compared to what you normally do if it was a Vince McMahon booking, this felt more like HBK. It did. There was still some Vince McMahon booking in it, of course. But HBK is HBK. You could see it. Now, the final match in the Global Heritage Invitational, Joe Coffey versus a Butch. Now, you're seeing Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 7 in the background when it comes to metaphor. That's just holding up bags of money. Come on. I will say that Jackson, look, oh, damn, that woman's... You see in a white dress, one of her legs is kicking out. There's a little slit in her dress. You just want to look at it. But at least they're going with each theme they've been doing. They did like a safari theme. They did the Matrix theme. Now they're doing the ocean kind of theme because they said it was Vic who said this looks like Ocean's 4, basing it off Ocean's 11. Now, what did we get from the match? Of course, Wolfgang did interfere in the match. But I will tell you this, and we already know that Butch won. It was a good match. It was a good match. A good singles match. When you see... I will tell you this. In mat-based wrestling, when you see it, Butch Pete Dunne is one of the best I've seen in this company. Other than Chad Gable, he's literally one of the best I've seen. Not talking about Gunther or anyone else. Pete is very good. There's only one other person I see that's the best that could maybe out-wrestle him would be Chad Gable. That I'm just saying. Now, the match that I'm going like, it's just a bit empty. Joe Gacy and Ava reigned by his side, showing a lot of this, showing a lot of that when she bent over. That's a little bit of Vince McMahon booking, I think. At least a little bit, because there's no way that, not saying that she's not showing cleavage, that she wouldn't go there. Because she's trying to do what like most women are doing now. That's in WWE. They're showing a lot of butt. They're showing a lot of cleavage. Now, it just feels empty without Dyad. Now, I'm not like JD where he couldn't stand the dyad gimmick. I'm not telling the gimmick was good, but at least they were having something. At least it was a gimmick. Admittedly, the eye color I didn't agree with when it came to the guys using it, but it was what they had. It was what they were given. But in the end, that was against Trick Williams. Got that trick. Basically won his match. And I'm going like, really? He won. And he managed to get himself, because of his win, to go to talk to a little bit HBK and got into the triple threat that was meant for the number one contendership for the North American Championship. And I'll talk about it in a few minutes. Now, Baron Corbin versus, I forgot what the guy's name was. Josh Biggs. Oh yeah, Biggs and Jensen. I almost forgot. It's been a while since I thought about them. Basically, Josh, if I remember correctly, last week, Josh and along with the roster was called soft by Baron Corbin. And he didn't take it lightly, so he said, we're not soft. Let's have a match. So this is their match. It wasn't very long. And it really didn't mean anything. Honestly, Biggs and Jensen, they've already had their long storyline when it came to Fallon and came to Kiana James. They had their moment. They went up. It wasn't a great up because the story wasn't exactly one of the best I've seen. And basically, Fallon Henley really isn't that well booked. She just feels there. At least Kiana James felt like something more substantial. So they've been up. Now they're here. They were here. Well, at least bit here. Now they're here. They got nothing to do. So I wasn't surprised Baron Corbin beat his ass. But when he talked about No Mercy and basically talked about wanting a fight with Braun Breaker, what happened? Braun came out and they basically brawled. And then they went into the back. Now I'll get to them at the end of what happened in the street and what happened in the ring again. But it was alright. I'm not saying Baron Corbin was great, but at least it was something that's understandable. Because they do have this problem due to the fact of what happened with Braun, with Corbin, with Von Wagner, who didn't show up in the show. Don't know if Von Wagner's been basically, as you know, a good amount of people have now been released. I don't know if Von Wagner is one of them. He might be. Might be gone from the company already. If he's not, he'll come back soon. But I don't know yet. I would have to check pretty much have to check. Okay. Tank and Hank versus Out the Mud. And that's Scripps, Price, and Nima. I believe his name is Nima. They didn't stand a chance. Particularly when Scripps got in the way. And Out the Mud basically had their moment. Now, I want to say this now. That the Don and the Underboss had like a dinner meeting with 3 other teams. And that was the Creeds, that was Out the Mud, and pretty much Garza and, well, I'm going to tell you this. Seeing that Garza and I gotta say this about Garza and Carrillo. Seeing that they're trying to use a grandfather and a scar on the chest to try and mean something would be good if they had been getting in the ring first and then started talking. This did not feel right. This did not feel right that they're there. It should be just 2 teams. It should be the Creeds who just came back and now the ones who just won their match that's supposed to go along with the story that they were called in. Don't feel Carrillo and I don't feel Garza should be there right now. Yes, they had some nice video packages, but they need to get some matches first. They need to win first. I really do believe that. I do not believe that was the wisest thing to do, letting them get into this fatal 4-way, because that's what was being set up by Tony D'Angelo. He said, you know what? This is the way it's going to go. We're not going to pick one of y'all. We're picking you all. No Mercy, fatal 4-way for the tag titles. We will not have any excuses. We're not going to be talking about no favorites. This is it. Cool. Now, Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak, a strap match with Thorpe's family with the. I don't know who came up with this theory that if you use a little child, like what happened with Roxanne Perez and her sister, and now you do Eddie Thorpe and his 6-year-old niece, along with his parents, who his dad was just grinning. It looked like he was grinning at this because he knows it wasn't really real. But at one point he stopped grinning and looked like he was getting into character himself, where he was getting angry, but he looked like he was smiling, happy, going, "Yeah, son, that's going on," and go, "Oh, damn, that don't look good." That's the type of look he gave. But his mother, his sister, and his niece kept in character. His dad didn't look like he was totally in character. But was it a good match? Yeah, it was. And Thorpe won the match. But that's after he got his ass whooped right in front of his family. And his niece did not like it, wearing glasses, going like this. I don't know who came up with this theory that if the wrestler has relatives that are little kids, you should bring them in, let them be at ringside, and then if it's a brutal match, let them show their emotion. Now, mind you, I'm not telling you that's a bad thing, because people at home will get a more better perspective from a child's point of view than an adult's point of view that's a relative. It shows more, like what happened with Chad Gable when his daughters got so upset that he lost. And anyone else that's been on the damn roster. I'm not telling you that's a bad thing, but when you do it all the time, there's your problem. Roxanne Perez should have been the only one done until, honestly, well, they like to do this all the time with their PLEs, so I'm just saying. And after it was over, Dijak didn't take it well and basically whooped his ass hard afterward with the strap again, tied up his legs with the strap they were both tied to, and then after he finally picked up his belt that he took off earlier, he whooped him with it, and they had to drag him away. And then he threw the belt at Eddie's sister. Even though it didn't hit them, it went down near the floor because of the gap. At least I'll say it's been well built in that respect. But the question is, where did it go now? Do they do a steel cage? Last man standing? I don't know what they're going to do with No Mercy. I don't know. I don't remember what they said they were going to do. But I think they need to have a step. That's got to end this. The one that made me think Vince. Thea Hall versus Danny Palmer. And you're still seeing a JC James by her side, trying to get her to be more sexy, more an adult, like a grown-ass woman. And once you see a, how can I say this? Does she look cute? Yeah. Did she look hot in black? Like most women, even if they don't have a lot of curve, because she ain't this. Let's make this clear. Thea Hall is like this. She's a tomboy, and there's no disrespect in a woman being a tomboy. They can still look sexy. But Thea Hall has very little of this. She's like this. And she has no like this in the hips. She's mostly straight with a tiny bit of hip and thick-ass legs. That's what we get from Thea. She looked good. Andre Chase didn't know what the hell to think, and it's... And it's Duke's trying to tell him, please don't say anything. Which he did. The match itself was, let me give it to you like this. When you look at Danny Palmer, she is another gymnast. She is. Let's make it clear. Soruka and Jordan, that was with Dana Brooke. Now that Dana Brooke has been removed. I can't remember. Kiana? I believe her name is Kiana Jordan. And Soruka, who's still out because I think she had a bad ACL injury. I think she got an ACL. I'm not sure. You guys can tell me below what injury she has because I do not remember. But she's been out for many months. But this is one of the problems when you bring in gymnasts or anyone who does dance. When you looked at her, yes, she is very great when it comes to gymnastics. And she does some really high spots. But she does not do enough wrestling. Like it was with Soruka. You see with Palmer, how can I say this? You got a gauge here. Wrestling, gymnastics. That's what you got. That's what I saw. Yeah, she did some holds and stuff, but it was not enough to be near here. That's where she should be, not here. Palmer is this far when it comes to real wrestling as a pro wrestler. She's too much this. She needs to bring it back a little bit and be more of a balance. There's nothing wrong with pulling it back, your gymnastic, and only pulling it out when you really need it. In the end, Thea tapped her ass out, which is fine. I didn't have a problem with it. I'm glad. It shows that she can get the job done. But then you wonder, next to the new clothes that she's wearing the kind of straps that a Rhea Ripley's wearing around the legs, and the new music, which is good. She's now differentiated from Chase U finally. She's now on her own. How far are they actually going to go with Thea? That's going to be the question. Look, Thea is a tomboy. A little bit of boob, very little butt, and very thick legs. And I'm not being disrespectful, but not trusting how the booking will be for her as time goes on. Because, like I said, HBK is not the one who runs it completely. Yes, you look at the show. HBK was booking the majority of the show. And I know not everyone will agree with it, but this was HBK's booking. This is HBK, and this is how much Vince's booking was there. You could see it. HBK and Vince's kind of booking. That's what it shows. He had to do it. But that's how it felt. Final match, that was the Fatal 4-Way. You got Dragon Lee, you had Axiom, you had Tyler Bates, and you had Trick Williams, who managed to get, like I said earlier, managed to convince a HBK to let him in the match. Good match, but excuse me. Seeing the way he won, he gets clunked in the head. He clunks the heads of Tyler Bates as he's falling back, and then falls on the Axiom, who gets nailed directly by Dragon Lee. Damn. Okay. Let's unpack that simply. He looked good during the match, and Joe Gacy did pretty good with Joe. Not great, but good. And here he did decently good. No problem. I didn't expect him to win, but he won against everyone, and now he's going up against Dom, who has a shiner on his eye. I believe he got a shiner right here due to the fact of Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee gave him a good-ass shiner. And he did have an interview with Mackenzie, and basically she had to tell him that he has to work No Mercy when he said he wasn't going to. He was going to be with Mommy. And then after that, he got punched in the face by Dragon Lee, who now is going to be the special guest referee at No Mercy. Now you know who's going to win that match, because it's obvious who's going to win. I'm not saying who, but it is obvious. And let's go to the contract signing. I'm going to tell you this. Was it effective? A little long-winded. I got to say this about... I think both of them were kind of scripted. You can hear when Dragunov was talking, he was botching a little bit, trying to make sure he got what he said down right. And Trick has that kind of William Shatner kind of talk, like, I'm going to make sure that you are going to have this done because this is going to be done. But in the end, you're going to know I'm going to beat you at No Mercy. He has those kind of pauses that they have in theater. And Trick kind of talks like that a little bit. So he sounded a little more smoother, but if you don't notice it, it'll sound like it's choppy as well. Dragunov made it very clear that he was going to fulfill his destiny. Not prediction or premonition, but a destiny that has not been fulfilled. And then Trick at one point almost, and he did to a certain extent, put Trick... No, let me crank that back. Not Trick. Carmelo. The reason I botched there when it came to Carmelo and Trick was this. It is obvious where they're going. Trick being thrown under the bus by Carmelo a little bit because he told Dragunov, any person that you beat are nothing compared to me. It's not going to be Dragon Lee. It's not going to be a Braun Breaker. It's not going to be a Trick Williams. I'm not saying it was Braun, but anybody he spoke about, he finally brought up Trick Williams. And then he had to stop himself in mid-sentence. Just, no. You just will not beat me. I am him. He had to crank back because he didn't want to throw his boy under the bus because his boy just won his #1 contendership. He loves his boy, but let's make this clear where we're going. We do know Carmelo and Trick will eventually have their moment. It's coming. It's coming. It's obvious where this is going. But it's still a ways off. I just don't see it happening now. It's going to be at least more than a few months, possibly next year, where they may go there. But it might be near the end of the year, the beginning of next year, they will have a confrontation, both of them. One or the other is going to approach, and they're going to have to do a match. It's going to happen. And then finally, the fight between... Let me give it to you like this. Am I interested in seeing how far they're going to go with Braun Breaker and was it a good spot seeing that Braun Breaker was taken by Baron Corbin and slammed on top of an SUV? Yeah. Seeing him sit up like the Undertaker? No. He is not. Braun is not Undertaker. I don't know why he did that. But they did go there. They kept fighting. And they went all the way back into the building, into the ring, because the fighting never stopped. Yeah, there was a moment where it stopped when you hear that Baron Corbin was talking about, I'm going to make sure he gets what he deserves when you go to No Mercy. And then they started fighting again. It's a good setup for the most part of the show. A lot of matches have been set up. And at least you can say they did it well. I'm not going to tell you it's perfect. And I'm not going to tell you the booking is all great. But it's good. This was a good setup for No Mercy. That's what the title is, and that's what I'm going to stick with. It's just me. This is a little bit past 20 minutes. It's 22 minutes almost. I hope you enjoy it. I'm okay. Peace.